It's time for Come and Talk It with your host, Michael Cargill, brought to you by Texas Law Shield. Over the last decade, Michael has championed and supported the rights of law-abiding Texans to own and use firearms. He is the owner of Central Texas Gun Works, a veteran of the United States Army, and has achieved national exposure in such prestigious media outlets such as Forbes Magazine, Fox Business News, CNN Money, AOL, BBC World News, Huffington Post, and the New York Times. Cargill vigorously defends lawful gun ownership in this country without regard to party politics. And now, here's Michael Cargill.
Good day, Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. All right, so today, you know what? I want to talk about the Daniel Perry murder trial. Daniel Perry, let's go back to 2020, folks. That is going to be, what was it, July? June? I think it was July 2020.
Summer of Love.
The Summer of Love 2020. COVID, when everything was shut down.
Everybody's protesting.
Yeah, they were Black Lives Matters were protesting. There were some police shootings. You had the Breonna Taylor incident going on. There's another one. Help me out here. There's another big, huge murder trial.
George Floyd.
That's right, Floyd. I
can't breathe.
That's right. So that trial, that incident actually happened. And so we had a lot of shootings happen during 2020. And so the country was really, it was all about police accountability. Everything was shut down. You can go from one end of town to the other. Man, I enjoyed just jumping on the interstate and traveling around the country on the interstate and doing about 120 miles an hour. I'm telling you, it was fun. I was told not to say that, but I was going fast because there was no cops.
I believe you.
No police. So, yeah. So I enjoyed that time frame. So everyone was at home. People were like all afraid. They're like, wear your mask. That was the time frame that we were getting phone calls and threats from people saying, how come you're not wearing a mask? You need to shut down. You should
Because I represent science.
That's right. And so...
Well, we represent the Second Amendment, so there.
So we're talking that time frame. We're talking 2020, everything shut down. So put yourself in that mindset, okay? You're sitting at home while we're driving on the interstate playing games. Everything was shut down. And so there are protests. Rioters decide to take to the streets because people were restless. They had sat at home all during the day. And so nighttime, they figured they would take to the streets and protest, walk down to their Capitol, their city hall, their police department, and protest about the recent shootings that had taken place by law enforcement. So during that time frame, it was like 10 o'clock at night. We're in Austin, Texas. Let me set it up for you. So, okay, everyone is, it's shut down. Okay, no one's on the road except protesters and criminals, people that are breaking into businesses. Those people. And so anyone that wanted to do graffiti, commit crimes, those are the only people that were out.
Try to blow a hole through a Central Texas Gunworks front door to get in there.
Yeah, that same time frame when people were breaking into gun stores like Central Texas Gunworks. Exactly. So let's put yourself in that mindset. And so it's 2020, summer of 2020, summer of love. And so Daniel Perry was on 4th Street. He was driving for Uber at the time, and he's a sergeant, United States Army stationed at Fort Hood. And so as he has a passenger on 4th Street, drops off a passenger on the 4th Street. When he drops off his passenger on 4th Street, he proceeds to communicate with the next passenger. He communicates with the next passenger. He goes to Congress. He drives to Congress. All of a sudden, he makes a right turn into Congress. There's like people walking on the street. There are protesters, people marching, screaming, yelling. They're blocking the roadway. So he comes to a stop. He stops. They decide to run up to his vehicle, surround his vehicle, and listen to what happened to the initial incident. And that's kind of what happened. So they surrounded this guy's vehicle, the sergeant of the United States Army, and he looks over to his left. He sees someone yelling at him. So he rolls his window down and he realizes this person is wearing a face mask, they're wearing tactical gear, they have an AK-47, and this person yells, "Get out of the car! Get moving! Get out of the car! Get moving!" So he's surrounded by protesters, people that are just looking crazy and insane. And just to paint the picture for you, let's take a look at, I just want to look at there's a video of the young man who was prior Air Force. He gave an interview the night of the shooting, but he gave this interview in front of the Austin Police Department. I don't want to play the video. I just want to look at his photo. I want you to take a look at this guy's picture, and this is what Daniel Perry saw when he made that right turn onto Congress. Group of protesters surround his vehicle, pounding on his vehicle, banging on his vehicle, his windows down. This guy standing next to his vehicle with an AK-47, with a face mask and tactical gear, and he looked just like this to your driver's side window. Now, just imagine you're a female. Just imagine, you're a civilian. You're trying to make ends meet, and you look to your left, and this is what you see, and a group of people banging on your vehicle. Man, I would have blown him away myself.
I would have done the same thing.
Exact same thing.
That rifle was at low ready.
And when this person's yelling at me saying, "Get out of your vehicle," someone's yelling at me saying, "Get out of my vehicle, get out of my vehicle," and it's nighttime, 10 o'clock, my window's down, I will send them straight to Jesus.
I would definitely too. Although, remember what it says, if you get out of your car or use...
Don't ever get out of your vehicle.
Exactly.
Always stay in your vehicle. Yep. The law protects you if you stay in your vehicle.
You're fine. Now, because a weapon was involved, this is, to my mind, justified. But remember what you always say. If the person's not armed, just stay in your car. If they reach in to get you, that's where it's game on.
And here's why I say I will pull my gun out and shoot this individual. The reason I would use deadly force is because this person's got an AK-47 standing next to my vehicle, my windows down. He's wearing a face mask. He's wearing tactical gear. It's 10 o'clock at night. He's yelling, "Get out of the vehicle!" And it doesn't take but a matter of seconds for him to pull that gun up, shoot me, and kill me. Exactly. So instead of letting him shoot me and kill me, he who draws first wins. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Peace, this is Maj Toure. You're listening to Come and Talk It Radio with Michael Cargill.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guide because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, "I invoke my right to remain silent," and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative that you know your rights and you shouldn't rely on the police to read them to you. Affirmatively invoke your rights. Say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and my right to my attorney. Once you do that, the police legally shouldn't continue questioning you without your attorney present. But remember, there's a second part to this equation. After invoking your rights,
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're talking about the Daniel Perry murder trial, where Daniel Perry shot and killed Garrett Foster, a Black Lives Matter protester that was protesting during the summer of 2020 in Austin, Texas. And so, and I teach, the LTC course, and I talk about use of force and deadly force. We talk about the Castle Doctrine, how you're supposed to feel safe in your vehicle. And, I make it a point to go out of my way to talk about the fact that you can't run over protesters. They have a right to protest. They have a right to, to take to the streets and let everyone in the world, the government, know that they're upset and they want to plead their case to the public and let you know their grievances. You have a right to protest. You have a right to the First Amendment. But in doing so, do you have a right to, to suppress someone in their Fourth Amendment? Do you have a right to block someone else's path, keep them from going about their way? Do you have a right to, yes, you have a right to open carry a rifle, but do you have a right to stand in someone's way and threaten them with that rifle? And if you do, then can they defend themselves? What do you think?
Well, so let me set the record straight. Garrett Foster was not a Black Lives Matter protester.
Okay.
He was actually a U.S. Air Force veteran and a libertarian. He was out there that night with his wife because she was in a wheelchair. And yeah, he was what you would describe as a libertarian boogaloo boy type. So open carry and making sure that almost kind of like Kyle Rittenhouse, if you will, making sure that trouble didn't go down. Now, the way you're describing the situation, the way the media described the situation is just false. This is a mob mentality that stopped the car. Okay, this wasn't Garrett Foster. And there are reports saying that Garrett raised his rifle. He didn't raise his rifle. If you look at the pictures very carefully, he had the butt of the rifle shouldered into his shoulder most of the time. While he was there, it didn't raise above his shoulder, so he couldn't have raised it at the driver.
He didn't raise what above his shoulder?
He didn't raise the butt of the rifle above his shoulder.
You don't raise it above your shoulder
to get into a car.
Put it to your shoulder.
But he didn't. He had it like right here.
He had it like braced against the shoulder,
sideways like this. It was down.
Low ready is what we call it.
Yeah, you'd have to have it. He didn't point it at the driver. So this guy essentially just fired off shots randomly into the mob that stopped his car at night. So, I mean, was it criminal mischief? Can you shoot someone and use deadly force at night? Yes. But is it right to just randomly shoot off shots?
Did he randomly shoot off shots, or did he hit 3 in Garrett Foster?
He shot at the guy with a gun.
AK.
He shot at a guy with a gun.
That's not really randomly shooting into a crowd.
You're randomly
right?
shooting at a guy with a gun.
Well,
like just because he had a gun.
Guy with a gun, not randomly, though,
right?
But just shooting at him.
But still, like that's a random person in the crowd. Like he didn't stop the car.
It wasn't a random
And
person
he wasn't
in
yelling
the
to get
crowd.
out the car.
It was the guy with the AK, right?
Okay, yes. So yes, so this is a good point. So yes, got conservatives here. If you see people open carrying guns, go ahead and shoot them. This is a great.
Okay. So you have a right to open carry your rifle. Absolutely. And I support that 100%. As a matter of fact, I do it and I participate in the marches.
And you're making it seem like he's a scary guy. Like it's 2019. You can't wear a mask during 2019.
It was 2020.
But should you
2020,
you block traffic with a rifle with a face mask and tactical gear at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night? Is that smart?
No, it's not.
And should you threaten someone and yell at them with the rifle saying, get out of your vehicle?
That's not what happened.
Really?
No.
That's what was testified in court.
He didn't say that.
That's what they testified to.
Well, you could watch the videos. He didn't scream that.
I heard get out. Let's go back and play it one more time.
There's a ton of video. Do you have it like right up on top of it?
Let's play it one more time. Here we go. Take a listen to this.
There are a lot of better videos with better angles.
That's okay. We're going to listen to this one. Just listen real quick. Back up. All right, so I heard everybody back up, and then there were 3 people that testified this past week the fact that Garrett Foster yelled, get out or move along.
Or move along, right? One of the two.
Right. And it depends on what you heard.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
this,
me,
I mean, at
me
the
being
time,
in the vehicle with a guy focusing on a guy holding an AK-47, and unless he's a robot, you know, with his arms to his side saying, get out of the vehicle. I don't think anyone yells like that. I think we express ourselves.
I hear what you're saying.
We express ourselves in such a way that when we're talking, our hands are moving, and I guarantee you, without him realizing, he probably pulled that AK-47 up. Me sitting in the vehicle with this guy, he pulls the AK-47 up. I'm not going to give him another second to figure out if he's just yelling at me or is he going to point the gun at me and pull the trigger.
I get what you're saying. You're talking about from his point of view. I'm talking about from the point of view of a protester that went outside and that there was
the protester outside didn't pull the trigger on the gun. The guy sitting in the vehicle pulled the trigger on the gun. So the only perspective that matters is the guy sitting in the vehicle.
Okay. Now there's someone walking around with a firearm though. This very well could have happened to someone like Kyle Rittenhouse.
Absolutely.
So you're walking around a crowd and the person that is probably not a part of the entire crowd, you see that person with a gun, so you just go off and fire on them.
The only difference is Kyle was not trying to pretend like he was security with a crowd of people. Kyle was actually acting like a medic. He was trying to help people and assist the people. Kyle was actually trying to get away from the people that were chasing him. Kyle was actually trying to avoid the situation at all costs.
It's a totally
and they
different
pushed him to the point where he was on the ground with his back to the ground. He had no choice but to defend himself, and that's not the position that Garrett Foster was in.
You're right. There were aggressors against Kyle Rittenhouse. Who was the aggressor in this situation? The person who used deadly force.
The protesters were the aggressors.
I don't
when
think
they
so.
surrounded his vehicle because they thought, oh my God, you know what? How dare you in a car drive on the road and turn on a major road in this town that is very popular with people around the country, Congress Avenue. How dare you drive in a car on this street while I'm trying to block the street and act like a protester? How dare you?
Well, you said you can't run over protesters. I don't think that gives you the right to shoot them either if they have a firearm on them.
Absolutely. That's not a right. Absolutely. But if I think you're trying to kill me, I'm sending you straight to Jesus.
We'll let the courts decide after that.
Yeah. Anyway, either way, the narrative that the conservative media like to paint it here was that he's very much a Black Lives Matter protester, ignoring the fact that both of them are military veterans. Oh, the guy that shot the guy is a military veteran. Like, it's a very big narrative here that you have to break through to see, like, the side for Garrett Foster.
Garrett Foster is at the Black Lives Matter protest.
Quote, unquote, Black Lives Matter. Yes. So
he is at the Black Lives Matter protest, so therefore, if he's in the protest, is he not a Black Lives Matter protester?
This is a whole problem that happened during 2020 was every single protest is a BLM protest. So everybody that goes to a BLM protest is a BLM protester. So all the rioters were BLM protesters. Everybody conflates the two. There were protesters, there were rioters. I mean, I could tell you, I was traveling around the country in 2020, and trust me, I don't like to give BLM about a bunch of credit, but when I was in Las Vegas, I saw them tweeting out directly, "Do not go to private businesses because that is not where you protest. We want to protest in front of the cops because that is public land. You don't want to go to private land." There are certain chapters that were actually trying to differentiate between these two groups, and to just conflate everyone in the same way and act like, oh, well, this guy's a BLM protester, and then say, oh, well, this military veteran had to kill a BLM protester. Do you not see how that's a false narrative when both of them are actually pretty much right-wingers and they're conservative veterans in a way?
All I remember is during that time frame, I remember, sitting there and looking at the people that were protesting, and they were saying, Black Lives Matter, and we're Black Lives Matter, and chanting Black Lives Matter is all I remember, and I saw very few blacks.
That's a good point. There probably weren't Black Lives Matter.
I'm just saying. So
I
still stand with what I said. I think he was justified in shooting Garrett Foster. If he felt that Garrett Foster was attempting to bring that rifle up and to shoot him, then I think he's justified in using force, deadly force. I don't think there's any jury in this land, in this country. You put a lady in that vehicle, any person in that vehicle, you surround that person's vehicle, and boom, I think he was totally justified. You don't have a right to block someone else's path, and you don't have a right to threaten someone with a gun while you're blocking their path.
Keep in mind, there had already also been reports and incidences where other people had been dragged out of their cars.
Especially those people, especially when you're protesting the cops and you're acting like the cops. That is what throws me off. They're sitting there literally protesting law enforcement, protesting the police, and then you want to turn around and you want to act like the cops. You're actually acting like the people that you dislike, and you're doing exactly what you really hate.
There are people that want to keep the peace. And we can't throw them all in the same category here.
The photograph that we have of Garrett Foster when he is next to Daniel Perry's car, his shooting hand, his right hand, he has his elbow up at shoulder height.
You can see half that gun.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that photo?
Go ahead.
That?
If you just search for Garrett Foster, AK.
All right, we come back from the break. Send that to me. We come back from the break. We're going to post that online. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Hi, this is Stephen Williford, the Barefoot Defender. I get my global gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guide because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
Hello, my name is Edwin Walker. I'm an independent program attorney with Texas Law Shield. I want to talk to you today about an issue that we see on a daily basis. In fact, you yourself will encounter it on a daily basis, and that is the subject of road rage. I am sure that you have all seen road rage. You may have actually been involved in a road rage incident. Now, if you're a responsible gun owner, I'm going to give you a few words of advice on how to react when you find yourself in one of these unfortunate road rage incidents. While on the roadways, we all observe something that makes us upset. Whether it's poor driving, unsafe driving, or just simply somebody being very discourteous. By all means, you should restrain yourself from engaging that person and telling them how bad their actions were, because this can be perceived as an act of road rage. If you're a lawful gun owner, you have a firearm in your vehicle, you do not want to be viewed as the aggressor in a road rage situation. Now, with regard to a situation where an individual has chosen to rage against...
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back, and we're talking about the Daniel Perry shooting. The Daniel Perry murder trial is what we're talking about, the shooting of Garrett Foster. It happened in 2020, the summer of 2020, when Black Lives Matter were protesting police shootings during that summertime. And a large group of people were protesting in Austin, Texas, at night, around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Uber driver, Sergeant United States Army, dropped off in passenger, going downtown Austin, makes a right turn to Congress Avenue, runs into a group of protesters, and that is when Garrett Foster, prior military Air Force, was holding a AK-47 face mask, tactical gear, and he pulled it up in a high ready. Now, take a look at this photo right at the time of when the shots were fired. Look at this picture here.
Look at his elbow.
I want everyone to take a look at this.
They have it circled too, where he actually shows.
You got to, you look at his elbow, look at where the rifle is. Man,
that is chest
you are
right to
clearly
a vehicle.
threatening this young man with an AK-47. He is clearly justified. There's not a doubt in my mind. As a 20-year license to carry handgun instructor, he had the right, that moment in time, to send him straight to the Lord and stop him because he perceived him as trying to kill him.
Direct immediate threat. And
absolutely.
Either it was intentional or it was absolute negligence on the operator's part to know, oh, crud, I'm actually probably in a threatening position right now, in a threatening stance.
And I'm not going to wait until 2 more seconds for you to pull the gun up and for me to see the muzzle of the gun. Because at that point, it's too late. If I wait another second, it's too late. I got to act and stop you immediately. It's either me or you. He who draws first wins.
Yeah. I don't know if he's just being negligent. I don't know if he actually intends to try to point it out.
He's pretending to be law enforcement. He is literally acting like the people that he disliked at this moment in time. He's protesting cops. He's acting like a cop. Prove me wrong.
All right. So I'll admit, it's when I watched these videos back in the day, it was debatable. Very much so. And, this was a long time ago when they had very much a lot of footage easily accessible at the time. This is 2-3 years later, so you can't really find it now. But I think that picture's a little blurry. Mm-hmm. I trust what you're saying, Michael. I understand from your point of view. But from my point of view at the time was Texas didn't have constitutional carry. You had open carry, right? And so if you wanted to go out and try to have some type of safety, some type of law and order to make sure things were not going to get out of hand, that was one thing that people did. And yeah, I mean, it's a crazy situation when you're surrounded by protesters. I definitely don't think that is acceptable. Protesters stopping traffic and surrounding vehicles. But unless they have entered your vehicle, I wouldn't have pulled the trigger. And I don't think from my recollection when I saw those videos, like I said, it's hard to see. It's dark. It's kind of a black rifle. It's hard to see exactly what's going on there. I don't think that he actually pulled it up and had it visible where the barrel was actually pointing anywhere near the car. But it's a crazy situation for sure. And one of my biggest pet peeves about it was the media narrative. I mean, like I've studied a lot of history and I've seen the media sway things, black things out, and this was one of them where it's just like, you label this guy as a BLM activist, and in Texas, okay, yeah, just shoot him, get him out the road.
All right, and I tell you what, let's listen to the interview. Garrett Foster actually gave an interview at the Austin Police Department the night that he was shot and killed, prior to them going and marching to the Capitol. Take a listen to some of this video. We can't play all of it. Just gonna play a little bit.
We're about to gun again? Oh, it's AK-47. What you got it out tonight? They don't let us march in the streets anymore, so got to practice some of our rights. Well, man, do you feel like you'll need to use it? Nah, I think I mean, if I use it against the cops, I'm dead. And I think all the people that hate us and, you know, want to say to us are too big of a stop and actually do anything about it. So why'd you start carrying? Well, our roommate got arrested and they stopped letting us march anywhere, so started carrying.
So literally, this guy thought that, you know, he can go up to someone's vehicle. He didn't think that he thought that he can actually provoke someone, threaten their life, and didn't think that they would have the gall, the audacity to call him on that and to stop him. And he found out otherwise. There's a clear diagram about this. There's a diagram, you know, of a young man standing in the classroom with a chart, and he says that the more you mess around is the more you're going to find out.
Yep.
And he FA'd and FO'd on that day, that moment in time. It's not wise. It is not smart. Yes, you have a right to open carry rifles. I advocate this. Yes, you have a right to carry handgun in the open, carry handgun concealed. Absolutely. But you're not a one-armed security team trained to clear a time building. It is not your job, your responsibility to patrol the community. It is about your personal protection of yourself and your family. This man here was married to a young lady who is a paraplegic. Knowing that you're the caregiver of someone who doesn't have any arms, someone that doesn't have any legs, it is your job, your responsibility to not put yourself in those type of situations at all. If I know that I'm a caregiver for someone who is depending on me to come home and take care of them, you know, do the basic needs that a person needs, then I'm not going to put myself in that predicament, in that situation, to the point that I'm not going to be able to take care of this person that I love. I'm going to think a lot smarter than that. Don't put yourself in those situations. Don't put yourself in a situation where someone's going to take your life because you're doing something stupid.
Well, look, I think everybody could learn from this. I mean, the dude was there with his wife. That's why he was carrying, to help protect her. So, I mean, he was taking care of her. But look, this is what pisses me off, is that all these conservatives that are coming out against this guy, half of them would do the same thing because they think that they could just walk around with a firearm. They don't know any better. People do need to get training. They need to know what is a good decision, what is a wrong decision. And you know what? Half these people that went out with these firearms during the summer of 2020 probably wasn't a good idea. I mean, like, I'm not against Kyle Rittenhouse, but I wouldn't advise the 17-year-old doing that. I also wouldn't advise this guy going out and doing that either. But I do think that we need a lot more training. People need to know what they're doing and know how to make the best decisions when it comes to firearms, rather than just going and getting one and thinking you know what to do because you have the rights to go out and carry it. Because that is what 99% of these conservatives do. Most of these guys don't actually get licenses, don't get training. And that's what we need to be doing.
All right. And then another thing is the medic. The medic. What's that guy's name? Anyone know the medic's name? Because I want to make sure everyone knows what his name is. Because they've been trying to hide this guy and hide his name. They've been working really hard to keep the media from talking about him. He's a medic.
Is that the one that shot the car 3 times?
That shot at the vehicle. Yes, he is the medic that actually shot at the vehicle and missed the vehicle. And they're going out of their way to not talk about this guy at all. His name, oh my goodness, it escapes me. Oh, it'll come back to me. I'll find it during the break. But this guy should be charged with deadly conduct because he says, and he testifies in court on the stand, he testifies and says that I shot at the vehicle so that the police can, you know, find the bullet holes and locate the vehicle. You can't shoot at a vehicle. That's for the movies. That's not for reality. That is deadly conduct. You shoot at a vehicle. That should have been the first person that was charged by the DA. the district attorney. But no, this DA is clearly biased, clearly doesn't care about the law at all. Because if you're going to charge Daniel Perry with murder and deadly conduct or aggravated assault, then you should definitely charge the medic who was standing in the crowd who shot at Daniel Perry's vehicle while the vehicle was driving away. You cannot shoot at a vehicle driving away. You can't shoot at someone driving away unless you're trying to recover some property they've stolen from you immediately after in first pursuit.
The medic was Nico Daisy.
Nico Daisy. That's his name.
Them.
Nico Daisy. I want you to remember that name because and I'll tell you, I'm the first person to tell you that both of these people, whether it was Daniel Perry, whether it's Nico Daisy, whether it's Garrett Foster, none of them had a legal plan. None of them had a legal plan of, what is going to happen after you fire that shot. And that's something else we talk about. Yes, everyone has a right to carry a gun. I have a right to carry a gun in my vehicle to protect myself if I'm driving for Uber or Lyft. Even though it goes against Uber or Lyft policy, they can cancel my access to the app. But guess what? It's my right. They can cancel my access to the app. I have a right to protest and walk down the street and let everyone know my grievances. I'm upset. I'm pissed off and carry an AK-47. Absolutely. I have a right to be in a protest and be as a medic. What is his name?
Nico Daisy.
Nico Daisy, be a medic from another state, travel to Texas just to participate in a protest in Austin when I'm not from here. I still have that right to travel here to Austin and protest, carry a gun. Absolutely. But the thing that upsets me the most is none of them had a legal plan of what happened after they fired that shot. Because everyone had to hire their own individual attorneys and pay these attorney fees and didn't have a freaking plan. And it's cost them thousands of dollars. And Nico, what's his name?
Daisy.
Daisy should be charged with aggravated assault and deadly conduct because he fired at a vehicle in a crowd of people while the vehicle was driving away. This DA is the worst DA in the entire history of the state of Texas. He is so biased whatsoever. And this man has no plans whatsoever to carry out the lady's justice wishes blindly whatsoever at all.
They actually nailed the last guy who pulled that off, and you constantly talked about that. The guy with the tow truck company who shot at a vehicle to try to stop it. Wasn't he indicted on?
Absolutely.
He was indicted. He was indicted.
It was a tow truck driver in Austin, Texas, shot a vehicle as the vehicle was driving away, as the vehicle was leaving his tow truck yard. And he was charged with aggravated assault, deadly conduct, because you can't do that, people. You cannot shoot at a vehicle. That's for the movies. That's for John Wick. That's for whatever movie you want to think of. That's not for reality. It's not for Austin, Texas. It's not how we do business here.
The only time you can actually shoot at a vehicle is if it's coming at you with the intention of mowing you over.
If you think this person is trying to kill you, then you can use force or deadly force to stop them. You can't shoot at the vehicle. You cannot fire warning shots. You either shoot them or you jump out of the way. Don't shoot a vehicle. You never should shoot a vehicle anyway because bullets, when they hit vehicles, they do really crazy things. Vehicles are designed to handle crashes, windshields. They're all designed to handle crashes in a certain type of way. A bullet hits a windshield, it's not going to go the direction you think it's going to go. A bullet hits the hood of a vehicle, it's going to accelerate. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
This is Coleon Noir, and you're listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guy because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, we're going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were complying with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so I just want to make sure, I want to take a look at this photo one more time. Look at the photo of the moment just before the shots were fired, or right when the shots were fired. I want you to look at the elbow, look at where the buttstock of the AK-47 was, and just take it, just look at it yourself and think, is that a threatening manner? How much longer shall I wait before I defend myself at this moment in time? Just got to ask yourself that. And I would not, if knowing that my wife, we've got to have a nice little conversation, my spouse, and say, I don't think we should put ourselves in that position. I would think of, let me grab the wheelchair and let me get her, move her out of the road. That would be the first thing that I would think of, not to approach a vehicle who has a right to drive on the road. The vehicle has a right to be on the road. It's not like this is a planned parade. It wasn't a parade. It wasn't a parade where police were blocking traffic and where there are barricades up and that clearly you weren't supposed to go through the barricade. That's not what this was. This is people that took to the street, cars driving in the street, and you're trying to take over the streets. Whose streets? My streets. Literally chanting, whose streets? My streets. Whose streets? My streets. Well, you FA and you FO'd on that particular night in 2020, the summer of. Now, I want to change gears a little bit. I want to talk about Tennessee. Tennessee. As a song. Tennessee. Let's talk about Nashville. Man, good Lord. Nashville, Tennessee. And today is the CMT Music Awards in Austin, Texas, baby. CMT Music Awards in Austin, Texas. You guys know that?
Country music?
The Country Music Awards are in Austin, Texas tonight at 7 p.m. in Austin, Texas, baby.
Austin, Texas, baby.
Sorry,
let me tell you.
Well,
I'm excited.
I hope you enjoy. I'll be playing Division 2.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm watching WrestleMania, baby.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see the red carpet. I want to see people walking in. I want to see what it's like for the Country Music Awards to be in Austin, Texas. I don't even like country music. But I just want to see it. I just want to see the flash and the pizzazz and stuff like. Don't even like country music. Don't roll that way. Sorry.
See some tents in the background.
Not my thing. Yeah, I want to see if they show the
Someone
tents.
asking for spare change.
Tents in the background. Yeah,
I'm sure they cleaned all that up before they got there.
I just want to drive by and hold up some AR-15s and yell "America, Texas."
I don't know. You might
don't point them at anybody.
I'm just not going to point at anybody, and I'm not going to threaten them. I'm not going to block anyone's path.
Run up to their cars.
Not gonna run to anyone's no one's limousine and then threaten them with
Get out of the car.
with the rifle and yell, "Get out of the vehicle." Not
That
gonna
is
do
not
that.
how we do things in the city of Austin.
That's right. Not gonna do that. But I would love to just yell "America" and just keep driving.
Kind of like how I'm protecting
Texas.
Okay, Texas. That's right. The Lone Star State.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about Nashville. It was Nashville, right?
It was Nashville.
It was Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, it happened this week. Nashville. It was at a elementary school.
A Christian elementary school.
Christian elementary school. Talk about
Private
praising the Lord.
Private school.
Praising the Lord and passing ammunition.
And
So,
I have to say this.
first set us up and tell us what happened.
Some individual,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're trans or not. That's why I'm saying this. According to most of the media reports, yes, they did identify as trans. We don't know that because all of a sudden it went tight-lipped. We have yet to even hear a manifesto
So I
either.
don't know if it was a male or a female.
Exactly. No, they first said female.
Biologically.
Yes. No, it's actually a female shooter.
I didn't know what the doctor said when he came out and smacked him on the butt. Was it a girl or boy? I just need to know.
The first thing they said was female shooter.
Don't call me. Don't write me.
Biological female.
Biological female.
Don't send me emails. I just need to know when it came out. The doctor smacked him on the butt. He said, "You have a."
I just gotta say,
boy
the
or
fact
girl.
that we have to have this conversation around
ridiculous.
a shooter in 2023 is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely
It
nuts.
should just be shooter.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, shooter. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Male or female?
Likely female.
I have Tourette's. I guess I just need to know.
identified by law enforcement as female at the time, supposedly self-identified as male.
Got it. Was a female. Got it. Okay, go ahead.
So there's actually a manifesto that's not being released.
Mm-hmm.
Goes.
We have the manifesto.
We do. We do?
Didn't you have it earlier this week? Didn't you read it to me? Didn't you say
Zach, where's that thing at?
Didn't
Investigation.
We can't talk about that on the air. Michael.
We can't talk about the
Can't
manifesto?
talk about the Tranifesto. Okay.
So,
didn't you have it though?
Yeah.
That's secret information.
So
You can't say that.
Find the manifesto.
Oh, but here-
Oh my God.
here's the alleged incident.
Okay, go ahead.
So a shooter goes into a school, shoots, I think it's a bunch of people, kills
elementary school. Let's
elementary school.
Babies.
Kills
children.
a bunch of children.
Three
And-
kids.
Three
Three kids.
adults.
3 adults.
3 adults, and then absolutely gets totaled by law enforcement in about 15 minutes.
14.
14 minutes.
That's right.
Let's talk about that. 14 minutes
Compare it to Uvalde.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Nashville law enforcement, I applaud you. You guys went in, despite everybody saying cops are cowards. You were up against a rifle, an AR SBR, unknown if registered or not, by the way, because it had a brace on it, and a 9mm handgun. You went up against all that, and you said, still, screw this. We got to protect people. We don't care how unarmored we are.
That's right. All they heard was gunshots, and they ran toward the gunshots.
And whoever had that LPVO on their rifle, nice choice.
And they decided to step over bodies. And that's what you're supposed to do. It's textbook. You know, police are not supposed to, they're supposed to arrive at the scene. It doesn't matter who's injured. You're supposed to step over those bodies and get to that shooter and stop the shooter, then start administering first aid and get the wounded out.
Exactly.
And it was textbook. We've talked about this since Columbine.
Yeah.
Columbine happened in the 90s. We're talking about Columbine here. And we found out back then that, hey, during Columbine, we need to change the
Our
response.
dynamics.
Yeah, the response to law enforcement and how they respond to these shooters.
Instead of sitting on your thumbs and trolling them like in Uvalde.
Right. And so it was really weird because prior to this shooting, this past weekend, all the news stories that were coming out were attacking AR-15s, saying AR-15s, they're the monster. ARs, why ARs, the Armalite rifle is what AR stands for, by the way.
Yeah.
Armalite rifle. Why are Armalite rifles, ARs, so popular? And they're just trashing the AR-15, the M4s. And then this person comes out and uses the primary firearm was a
Kel-Tec sub 2000 9mm rifle using Glock pattern magazines.
A Kel-Tec sub 2000, which fired 9mm ammo. Not a 223, not 5.56, not 7.39 by whatever. It was 9mm.
Yes. It was 9 mil with a, oddly enough, safety belt that was a seat belt that had been modified as a sling.
You said this was an SBR. Is that
No.
The other gun
was an AR SBR with pistol. It was a pistol length firearm, but with a stabilizer brace, making it.
So it was legal. It's not illegal.
No, it's illegal.
Oh, so it was
as of like 2 months ago.
As of January 31st, that was an illegal firearm.
Still, that's interesting.
That's why I say illegal SBR, because it has that shoulder brace. Even though the shoulder brace used to be illegal, as of January 31st, they're actually going to consider that an illegal weapon.
And it doesn't matter.
Say that.
That's just interesting to consider, though.
And it kind of doesn't matter anyway, because the mere fact of having a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school
is a crime.
Elementary school, middle school, high school is a felony in itself. You're violating the federal law. Shooting people, you're breaking the law. Taking a gun inside the school, you're breaking the law. So you're within 1,000 feet, you're breaking the law. In the school, you're breaking the law. Shooting and killing people, you're breaking the law. So it doesn't matter.
Now, the funny thing is, the parents don't like guns.
That was the thing.
Parents don't like guns.
The mother
doesn't like guns. The mother knew she had, she or he or it or Paints had one.
The shooter.
The shooter had one. Supposedly, they were satisfied after the shooter sold that one, yet they still somehow got 7, even though they were under psychiatric help. Parents, here's what you do. If your kid is under psychiatric eval, even if it's not court-ordered, make sure to find a way to have the psychiatrist put down that they are not eligible for ownership.
This kind of sounds like Stoneman Douglas in a way. Before they started talking about enacting red flag laws, they said, oh, well, we saw these red flags. It just didn't, populate
report
the
it.
system. They didn't report it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you can report, no one reports this stuff. Even if you pass red flag laws, there's pretty much you can already do that as it is.
Yeah,
But no
you
one
can already
reports
do it now. You can already take
saying.
firearms from people right now.
Exactly.
Better yet, you can,
without it.
as
And
a
so-
parent, Mike, after the break, let's go into how many phone calls we have gotten from moms and dads saying, my kid just walked into a couple gun stores. Has they walked into yours? Please don't sell them anything.
It happens a lot. We have a list of names of people that
We're
it
not
happens to.
eligible. We're not going to sell to because
The problem with this is I get it from parents. I've never received this call from law enforcement.
No.
We don't get this call from the Austin Police Department or the Texas Department of Public Safety. They don't contact us and say, hey, so-and-so, Little Johnny is thinking about suicide. Please don't sell him a gun. Instead, the parents have to call all the different gun stores in the area and beg for the gun store to not sell their kid or this person, their family member, their loved one, their uncle, brother, sister, whatever, auntie, a firearm. And that's not how it should happen. If there's a bolo, be on the lookout that goes out. The gun store should be contacted so we don't sell this person a gun. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Hey, this is AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, and you're listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guide because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
He didn't act that way. He never flinched. He went for his pockets. And when he went for his pockets, I thought my heart was gonna stop. I mean, Hi, my name's Jerry. The incident we're gonna talk about took place in early March of 2017. Started back about 3 years ago. We had a fella in the neighborhood that nobody really knew. We weren't familiar with him, and he was pretty regular about speeding up and down the street. It escalated into more speeding, threats. He chunked some rocks up into the yard and broke my windshield in my truck, and it escalated from that into death threats. And he was constantly chirping about how he was gonna end it and he was gonna kill so-and-so, he was gonna kill me, and it was all chirping. The day of the confrontation, I was leaving the neighborhood and heading to a meeting downtown Fort Worth. It was a beautiful day, had my windows down, I was in my Suburban, As I was heading out, just about to leave my neighborhood, this guy comes into the neighborhood, sees me coming out, pulls into my lane, causes me to stop, and then he kind of cut at an angle in front of me and jumped out of his truck and ran at the side of my Suburban, saying, "Today's the day you're gonna die, he's gonna end it." He comes over and he's slamming his hands up against the side of my vehicle, my truck. But he's screaming at me, telling me he's gonna kill me, he's gonna end it, this is the day I'm gonna die. He reaches in to try and open up my door. I grabbed my weapon, I put my weapon right at his chest at the window and told him to get back, told him to get the hell back. And he never did. He never moved, he never changed anything. He went for his pockets, shuffling into his pockets, and he pulls out his cell phone. I drove off around and called 911 before I got to the end of my street. Yeah, I've carried a weapon for pretty near 20 years, and I've never had to pull my weapon out. Now, I can tell you that when you do that, it's the emotions are incredible. You feel the flush come through your body because you just pulled a weapon on somebody, you're pointing a gun at somebody, and they don't move. And that's a whole nother, they didn't say, "Whoa, stop," like anybody that you'd think would do that, but he didn't act that way. He never flinched. He went for his pockets, and when he went for his pockets, I thought my heart was gonna stop. I was actually told that if he would have pulled out a gun, he'd have shot me before I could have actually pulled the trigger, and that's pretty awakening. I contacted Texas Law Shield and spoke with them and got a statement that I wrote, and I turned it in the following day. And it was subsequent to that I was told that I was going to be arrested for deadly conduct, and Texas Law Shield stepped up to the plate, and they got in my corner and handled it from there.
Factually, the case was unique because
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're talking about the shooting that took place in Tennessee and Nashville. And let's just talk about school shootings in general, okay? So, do you know that the majority of school shootings are done in the morning? Just 99% of the school shootings happen in the morning, okay, before 12 noon, okay? And do you know that police officers are at all the high schools, not the elementary schools?
SROs?
SROs. That's right. They're at the high school, not the elementary school, because they're used for disciplinary actions, okay, or disciplinary problems. What we should do, this country sends billions of dollars to other countries. It doesn't take much to make sure that we have 2 police officers at every school in this country. There should be at least 2 police officers at every school in this country, and we should have camera systems set up, and being monitored. It wouldn't take much you should be able to catch this person in the parking lot before they walk up to the door.
It shouldn't be that hard. It really should. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I graduated in 2013. We had resource officers, we had cameras. We didn't have metal detectors, and it didn't feel like jail. That's what the Democrats say. We shouldn't be sending our kids to jail, but simply have a resource officer and some security. And when I was a senior, I was leaving school early. I had that resource officer asking me "Are you sure you can leave early?" They knew where everyone was at all times.
At all times.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. It's not that expensive to have cameras to lock these schools down. My hat's off to this private school, because I noticed that when the police officers actually went in and started checking the school and looking for the shooter, that the kids were completely on lockdown. I didn't see any kids at all in this video. So that means whatever plan they have, that plan worked. Where they minimized the amount of people that were actually shot and killed.
Yes.
Because they kicked the plan into place. That plan actually worked. They sent that school on lockdown completely. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Uvalde was a complete collapse of everything.
Disaster.
From a teacher propping doors open, the door wasn't secured, to law enforcement afraid to go into the room, just complete breakdown of everything and all training all at one time.
Absolutely.
And so we can do a lot better. There's so much money in this country where there's no reason why every school should have 2 police officers, cameras being monitored at a central location where because all the shootings happen. They happen within school starts at whatever time. Let's say, for example, school starts at 7:15 a.m. There's going to be a school shooting between 7:15 and before 11:30. I guarantee you. Somewhere in the country in the next few weeks. In the next few weeks, we're going to have the anniversary of the Waco Branch Davidian complex, that shooting in April, what was it, April 19th?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the anniversary of that, and you're going to have some shooters. Something's going to happen during that time frame. It happens every single year. Also, I think April 20th is Hitler's birthday. There's always shootings in that time frame. So, there's always going to be shootings right around this time frame, that week of the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. And so they need to prepare for this, okay? Let's make sure we have 2 police officers at every school in the country and make sure they're especially all morning because that's usually when the shootings take place. It's very simple. It doesn't take much to lock these schools down. And we're not talking about, being in a police state. We're not talking about, you can have police officers at the school to the point where no one actually sees them.
Exactly.
But you're monitoring cameras. You can see what's going on outside in the parking lot. You see someone pull into the parking lot. You see someone get out of a freaking vehicle with a backpack or a big old bag that look, my goodness, or get out of a vehicle with a rifle. We know something's going on. We need to, let's get to it. Let's act, hit the alarm, bam, kick a plan into place. Doesn't take much. We need to put this plan in place, and this is well overdue. This should have been done when we had that shooting down and outside of Houston years ago at the high school in Houston. We talked about this, went about, talking about securing the schools, talking about law enforcement, talking about adding special glass to the school and all this. There is special glass that they can add to these schools to where if you're shooting at the school, that bullet hits and it ricochets, it comes back at you. There are things that you can do that we've talked about. I've actually participated in news stories. There's so many different news stories. We talked about this years ago. I want to say it was at least 6 or 7 years ago. There's a news story that we ran where I had all the news stations go down to the gun range, and we actually tested this glass. I shot at the glass myself. We started out with 22 long rifle. We went all the way up to all the way up to an AR-15. And I'm telling you, the bullet would hit and it would ricochet back. I had to put on a bulletproof vest to make sure I didn't get shot while I'm shooting at the freaking glass. And so we tested this stuff out. This stuff actually works. So we have all these tools. There's no reason to put this stuff into place. Instead, we send billions of dollars to Afghanistan, to Iraq, Ukraine, and we don't care about our babies, our kids here in the United States. Sad.
Exactly. And no, banning guns will not solve this.
You can't. You're not going to ban guns in the United States. You're not going to ban the AR-15, the most popular rifle in this country. If you ban something, you'll be lucky if you get 100 of them. You'll be lucky if you get them.
Well, in many school shootings, they do happen with like semi-automatic rifles, but there has been plenty that happen with handguns.
Absolutely.
Handguns,
I mean,
yeah. The majority of all active shooters / mass shooters / gang activity is done with handguns of more of the pocket size, like what I normally carry on a daily basis. That makes my boss go, Do you need something a little bit bigger there?
Yeah,
I think you have something a little bit too small if you're carrying that many of you on.
A lot of people don't realize this. I mean, even going back, you're talking about Columbine. I mean, Virginia Tech was done with mini handguns, and that was like one of the biggest ones back in the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a false argument to be able to try to take that.
Yeah.
So we should be trying to secure our schools. I mean, we secure everybody else
except
and everything else that we care about.
My favorite is what we secure everything with guns, and then all of a sudden, what do we secure our kids with? Oh, a little plastic sign.
Yeah, right. What do we secure in Ukraine with? Right, a bunch of money and guns.
Yeah, I know.
That's where all the money went.
Yeah,
it's not going to schools.
No. And the other thing I'm getting sick and tired of, and this is just me personally seeing this online, and it's what I call blue on blue, where the pro-Second Amendment community turns around and says, well, this group of certain people, because of one bad apple, shouldn't be allowed to own this particular thing.
Thank you for bringing that up. Actually, I was going to say that too. Is you saw all these conservatives last week, like Elijah Schaffer and others, saying, "Oh, well, everyone that thinks the LGBT community should be pro-gun and have an AK or an AR, maybe you should rethink your argument or your lifestyle." And it's like, are you serious? Like you're essentially preaching the same argument that these leftists preach when a white guy shoots up a school, except they're screaming white supremacy. Now you're screaming to ban the trans.
Yeah.
So, we got one side that wants to ban the guns, one side that wants to ban the trans. Where are the sane people at here?
Yeah.
Did you know that 82% of transgender individuals have considered suicide and 40% have actually attempted it?
So you're saying this is a mental health issue?
Well, that's a very, very high.
The one thing, though, is that they have
ideation and attempt rate.
They actually have said that no, transgender identity crisis is actually not exactly a mental disorder. They actually the CDC and I think it's NIH and the federal government have basically said no, this is not a mental disorder.
So then it's all of a sudden not a mental disorder because the NIH said it's not. I mean,
I know several trans people, and I know a bunch of them online, and I know a bunch of them in the 3D printing community who 3D print guns on the daily who are not this way.
And even if it is, that's a very big blanket statement.
Yes,
to
because
say that, like, okay, well, these guys are mental, so like they shouldn't have guns. Like, it's a very big blanket statement to say that.
Like, we always say the same thing: you don't need a gun to commit suicide.
if a parent came in and said, I think maybe my son has a 50% chance or 40% chance of committing suicide, you know, and she told you her son's name and he came in, would you then sell him a gun?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely. And we've done that.
But you see, that's
exactly what
once
we do.
again, this is the
it happens a lot where we get the phone call from parents and they say, hey, you know, my son, my daughter, you know, whoever is thinking about doing something, please don't sell them a gun.
But I've just given you the statistic for the trans individual.
And honestly, I take when someone calls me, I take what they say at face value, and we will not sell a gun. I don't want that on my conscience.
And that's a one-on-one conversation. I'm wondering what the statistics are for veterans that have mental issues. You know, should we be banning veterans from having guns at the same time? I would say no.
No.
So we shouldn't be saying that conversation about trans individuals either.
Yeah, because how many veterans commit suicide a day?
Let's see what that statistic's like.
That's a number.
44.
Is that it?
I used to say 23, but that was probably a fake number, right?
There's a number. 20 veterans die from suicide per day. 20 on an average.
That's probably a conservative number.
That's according to the VA. And that's in 2016. So yeah, you're probably right.
It's gone higher more than likely. Yeah,
that's
as
right.
Stuff goes on.
It's 1.5 times higher than general population.
Yep.
The trans suicide rate is like 15 times higher.
I would still sell. I've had several trans people come in and they're pretty nonchalant. They just and yes, I have misgendered them on occasion. They'll actually politely say, you know, this is not how I identify, and they are polite about it and they're really cool about it. And like I said, I've shot with a bunch of them. They're awesome people.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're going to be barring individuals from firearms, it should be an individual case. It's not saying, like, based off of, like, the statistical game that, oh, well, you fall in this category of, you know, you probably shouldn't have a firearm.
This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Folks, this is Doug Man Jones. And I get my gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guy because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
Hello, my name is Edwin Walker. I'm an independent program attorney with Texas Law Shield. I want to talk to you today about an issue that we see on a daily basis. In fact, you yourself will encounter it on a daily basis, and that is the subject of road rage. I am sure that you have all seen road rage. You may have actually been involved in a road rage incident. Now, if you're a responsible gun owner, I'm going to give you a few words of advice on how to react when you find yourself in one of these unfortunate road rage incidents. While on the roadways, we all observe something that makes us upset. Whether it's poor driving, unsafe driving, or just simply somebody being very discourteous. By all means, you should restrain yourself from engaging that person and telling them how bad their actions were, because this can be perceived as an act of road rage. If you're a lawful gun owner, you have a firearm in your vehicle, you do not want to be viewed as the aggressor in a road rage situation. Now, with regard to a situation where an individual has chosen to rage against you, and you are the actual victim of the road rage, if you and the other individuals are still in their automobiles, do not use your firearm to respond to any of the rager's activities. This is because law enforcement views the fact that you're both still safely in your metal boxes as removing any threat of immediacy that you may be harmed. So please, if you have a gun, somebody is raging against you, forget you have a gun. Don't display it, don't brandish it, don't show it, don't point it, and for God's sake, don't fire it. This could result in a lot of trouble for you. Now let's look at a situation where a road rage incident has escalated. It has escalated to the point where one of the participants has actually gotten out of their vehicle. We recommend that you stay in your vehicle at all times. Do not exit your vehicle, because the person who exits their vehicle is going to be looked at as the aggressor. If the other individual has exited their vehicle and they are not in contact with your vehicle and they do not have a weapon, then do not feel that you can display your weapon in an act of self-defense. People are allowed to just simply stand there and scream at you, scream whatever they want. Until they make a demonstrative effort to try to harm you, there is no immediate threat that would justify.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so I want to go to Houston, Texas. There are quite a few things I want to cover real quick because we only got a very short time. I want to talk about Houston. I want to talk about Minnesota, and then we're going to go to Florida. So let's talk about Houston, Texas. All right, so a grandmother who has a food truck in Houston, Texas. You know, she's doing what she does. She has some nice little soul food there. They got the, what do you call it? It's like oxtails. They have the oxtails. Man, I got to go to this food truck. You know, I love some oxtails. So I love me some soul food. So she has some nice, delicious soul food. And this guy pulls up to her food truck one particular day, sticks a gun out the window and says, "Give me money out of the food truck." She's like, no, she closed the door. He gets out of his vehicle. He goes up to the window, opens the window, sticks the gun through the window, pulls the trigger. The gun malfunctioned. She had her LTC. She pulled out her concealed handgun. She shoots him. Bam, bam, 2 or 3 times. Kills him right there. Guy dies right at the scene. Dead on sight. She was lucky. She was lucky because I tell people, you know, a person points a gun at you. You know, there's nothing you can do. They point a gun at you, you just freeze because they have a gun pointed at you. But he made that fatal mistake. Didn't clean that gun. It malfunctioned. Yeah, didn't clean the gun. Didn't know how to hold it properly. Maybe he was riding the slide a little bit. Don't know. But guess what? That recoil, you know, maybe he was limp wristing the gun. You know, and one of those things, and boom, it malfunctioned. And she was able to get to her gun, pull the trigger, boom, shoot this guy, stopped him, and ended it right there. Take a listen to the family members of this grandmother that owned the food truck in Houston, Texas.
Cooking. This is how we make our living, and we're not trying to hurt anyone or do anything to anyone. We just want to run our business.
When the family started Elite Eats, a soul food truck in 2020, this grandmother never thought she would have to use her gun. But Tuesday, she did.
I didn't want that to happen, but he tried to hurt me.
Houston police say she shot and killed a 23-year-old man who pulled a gun on her. The family says the food truck had just opened and they only had $40 cash. Their truck was parked off South Main and Fondren, where they'd been for 3 years.
I also want people to think about his family as well, because I don't think I'm no hero. I'm going to pray for his family as well as my family.
That's a true grandmother right there. Man, true grandmother. Because it's a sad situation, you know, because whatever brought this guy to do that, you know, and then she had to do what she had to do to save her life because he pulled out a gun, pulled the trigger at her. It malfunctioned. She had no choice but to stop him. So the only thing she do is pray for his parents, his mother, his father, grandparents, and grandfather. You know, and because they've lost a loved one tonight.
Just like that pair in Colorado who actually armed robbed a UPS postal truck and then shot it out with police. One is now dead and the other is in custody. ATF's involved because both these are juveniles, by the way.
That's a common problem because we have a little situation here in Austin, Texas, where you had some 13, 14, and 15-year-olds in South Austin decided to go to a 7-Eleven at 4 o'clock in the morning and rob the 7-Eleven at gunpoint. They're 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. Teenagers at gunpoint they held the gun to the clerk's head. They shot at the safe, you know, behind the counter trying to open the safe. Luckily, the bullets did not ricochet and hit the clerk or one of them. And they ended up, you know, stealing what they could out of the store, didn't get any money at all, and then running away. And eventually, I believe they got caught, or they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
So, this is a parenting problem. This is not a gun problem. I'm tired of people coming after the AR-15 or handguns or whatever. This is a parenting problem. How do you not know that at 4 o'clock in the morning, your 13-year-old is not at home in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning? And how in the world did your 13-year-old get a gun? What type of parent are you? 13. We're talking the majority of people that are committing crimes around the country right now are young teenagers. This is a huge parenting problem. At some point, we need to start holding parents responsible for their kids. We're talking 13, 14, 15-year-olds. You can't keep control of your kid? Man, that's a problem. That is a huge problem. 13, and you don't know your kid's not at home. Parenting. All right. So now let's change gears again. Let's go over to Minnesota. Let's talk about Minnesota. So Minnesota, what's going on in Minnesota?
Big win for the Second Amendment in Minnesota.
What happened in Minnesota?
So previously, Minnesota had a state law that prohibited anyone 18 to 20 from getting a permit to carry a handgun in public.
Like Texas, huh?
Uh-huh.
That's why Minnesota didn't recognize the Texas LTC because we allow 18-year-olds who were in the military at the time to get a license, and because we allow 18-year-olds in the military to get a license, they would not recognize Texas license.
So they wouldn't recognize anyone's Texas license.
No, that's right. Anyone's, because we allowed 18-year-olds. That's right.
Judge just overruled that.
So what happened in Minnesota?
So basically, U.S. District Court Judge Kathleen Menendez cited New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin and concluded that the state law was unconstitutional.
So now 18, 19, 20-year-olds can carry a gun in Minnesota.
Yep. They can get their permit and carry a gun.
They can get a license.
But then how do they buy the gun? They can't buy the gun from a store.
Can't buy it from a gun store or federal firearms license dealer because gun stores are governed by the federal government, and federal law says you have to be 21 to
buy
purchase
a
handgun from a gun store.
So they'll have to get it as a private sale or a gift.
Private sale as a gift.
Or find it in a dumpster.
Parking lot of Walmart. Parking lot of Target. That's right.
Find one that Hunter Biden threw in the dumpster by the school.
Parking lot of Albertsons or HEB or, you know.
What's that, Lady Bird Lake?
Bottom of the lake.
Well, I'm telling
something
you.
else there too.
New body was found.
A new body was found in Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas. That's
Another
right.
one.
That's right. I'm telling you right now that
We got a serious
someone is killing straight men in Austin and dumping them in Lady Bird Lake. Straight men. You're in danger.
I don't drink on rainy streets.
Wait, Mike, how do you know they're straight?
I'm just telling you, y'all in danger.
Are you the serial killer over here? I was killing straight men. I don't know. That's a key part of the conversation.
And let's change gears again.
On that note,
let's go to Florida.
Yeah, so in Florida, it looks like permitless carry will be passed by Ron DeSantis. Now, there are stipulations. You must be a resident. You must be 21. You must not have any prohibitions like terroristic threats, felonies,
deadly conduct,
anything like that. And it's not overall blanket constitutional. You must conceal carry without a permit. If you're caught open carrying,
so this constitutional carry is only for open carry.
No,
yes,
it's only for concealed carry.
No, it's permitless concealed carry only in Florida. You cannot open carry
okay.
without a permit.
Okay, so without a permit, you can conceal carry.
Without a permit, you can conceal carry.
So but Florida doesn't have open carry.
No.
So you have to have a license.
You have to have a license to open carry. So you have to have a license to open carry.
It's the backwards of what Texas did.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so confusing.
I know.
Yeah. So with a license to carry permit and with a Florida carry permit, you can open carry or conceal carry in Florida. Without a carry permit in Florida, you must conceal carry.
I'm about to check that. I'm going to check the Florida because I didn't.
Yeah, it's opposite because Texas, they did open carry. A lot of states did open carry and then they did conceal.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida is going opposite. I guess they don't want people to open carry
Without
without
a
a
permit.
license, but
Yeah.
they want you to be able to conceal carry your firearm without a license.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. So we're gonna
So that's why- that's
we're
why
gonna get
folks
one of the
are-
attorneys from the U.S. Law
Law Shield
Shield on the
people.
show to talk about Florida, and because you're saying you have to be a resident of the state in order to participate in this constitutional carry.
In permitless carry, it's not constitutional. It's permitless.
Permitless, yeah.
Because it's restricted permitless carry.
That's why they're saying it's not constitutional because you can't open carry. without a
Oy
license.
vey.
Yeah. Also, there are several locations of signage and stuff that you have to follow, just like in Texas. New locations that you're not allowed to carry at. They don't care about printing or brief showing. So if you reach up on that top shelf for the liquor bottle and your gun kind of gets exposed, as long as you drop back down and kind of retuck your shirt in, you're fine. But if you flip your shirt out during an argument, that's still considered brandishing.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we're gonna have someone come on because I don't think you can open carry in Texas at all. I mean, in Florida. I'm sorry, in Florida at all. And so
Yeah.
we're gonna have someone.
It may be
come on
like
the
those stuff, but yeah, the handguns are still concealed carry.
Yeah, we're gonna have someone come on from U.S. Law Shield to talk about Florida and Florida's laws now. Now that this new law is going into effect. All right, so make sure you guys stay tuned to the murder trial, Daniel Perry this week, because there should be a verdict that should come in. This should go to the jury, and we should hear whether or not Daniel Perry is going to be guilty or not guilty. Hopefully, this is a smart jury. And whenever you pull a gun out, think about this. You pull a gun out and use it, that is a $20,000 bullet. Because just a matter of fact, if you fire a gun, you have committed a crime if you're in city limits. Now, are you justified? Then you're going to put your life in the hands of a jury. It is up to a jury to decide whether or not you are justified in pulling that trigger. So think twice. That is 20 grand. As always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there and you buy yourself a gun. Listen, Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.